Welcome, everybody, to another week of our Monday night sales call. I had a few people text me about the link, so I'm sending that out. I've got a few more people that are going to be joining us. But Thaddeus, I see your question. Is the chat disabled? The chat should not be disabled. You should be able to type in there. I can see it right now. I think it works just fine. Do you not see it in your bar down below? Yes, but it won't work. Well, that's fine. If the chat doesn't work, that's fine. I would rather have it in the Q&A section anyway, rather than the chat. It shows disabled. Okay. Well, that's weird. It hadn't been disabled before. It's the same link that we use every week, so I'm not really sure why it would be disabled. But drop your questions and anything that you would like me to cover this week. Drop it into the Q&A section instead of the chat, and we'll go over it. We've still got a few people coming on here. But yeah, hope everybody's Thanksgiving was great last week. I know mine was. It was good to catch up with family, friends, everything like that, being home. Since I've started this, I've been on the road, been traveling quite a bit. So it was nice to take a little break and relax, get some R&R, and eat some good Thanksgiving dinner. So, okay, there we go. Video working tonight. Yes, it is. Bobby, thanks to Bobby, guys. Bobby got my camera working this week, finally, after 2 weeks of it not working. So that was great. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, Thaddeus. This link for Monday night and Tuesday night calls, as well as Thursday night calls, every single week for TEXITcoin is always the same link. So we use the same link every time. Ron asked, will ACH be available in the back office? It will be very soon. They're still working on it. But there's a couple more updates coming to the website soon, and ACH in the back office is one of those. So rest assured, it will be coming soon. All right. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about tonight, guys, is exactly where we're at, and how to overcome some of the biggest objections we've all been running into lately, which is the price. But also, with the price being where it is today, one seat, I seen that after last week's numbers, one seat pays 0.45 coins per day. So anybody out there with 100 mega hash is receiving 0.45 coins per day, right? Now, 0.45 coins per day times, let's just multiply that by current price right now is $3.75. With $3.75, that's about $1.68 per day, right? And so one of the most interesting things about that is that's about exactly the same as the math of the article that Bobby wrote and put out a while back called The Last Seat on the Rocket Ship, right? Why would anybody buy the last seat on the rocket ship? You're going to have 100 mega hash. You're not going to have any affiliate program, no way to earn commissions, no way to increase your mega hash, right? Because you're buying the absolute last seat on the rocket ship. Well, the reason why somebody would want to buy that is because we're going to be a rocket ship that has $100 million in liquidity. We're going to have the better part of $200 million in our marketing and promotion budget. And we're going to have one of the biggest community of miners outside of Bitcoin, right? Advocating for our success. And that is huge. That's what is going to keep us and put us not only in the top 100, but to excel further and further ahead from there. And so if you guys haven't read the Last Seat on the Rocket Ship article, I recommend that you do so you can understand exactly why people would want to buy that last seat. And that's because, just like I said, we're going to have 200 million marketing promotion, $100 million in liquidity, and the largest community of people outside of Bitcoin. Crypto is a community-driven project, right? All crypto is community-driven. And so being one of the largest communities crypto projects out there is going to be huge. And that's what's really going to make us very well known, not only throughout Texas, not only throughout the US, but throughout the crypto world, right? We've got people all over the world a part of this thing now. I was on the phone with a guy from Australia this morning, and he wasn't even a part of this, but I was able to tell him we've got 1,200 people in Australia that are miners with us, right? Advocating for the success of our project. And that right there is what is going to give us a lot of success. And so with the math behind it, what I wanted to go over, $1.68 to us doesn't seem like a lot. But people that you're out there pitching this to and talking to about TEXITcoin, they're not going to know any different, right? They don't know what we were getting 6 months ago or 4 months ago or a year ago or what have you, right? I remember back when I got in this thing, I got all kinds of coins, but the price was 2.8 cents. It really wasn't amounting to any amount of money, right? And so the price thing is something that you have to be able to relate exactly what they're actually getting from this, because it's not just a few coins at whatever price, right? The whole point to TEXITcoin is to create generational wealth. Yeah, it's $1.68 today, but it's going to be $1.68 for, if the price never changes, right? And you get the same 0.45 or 0.4 coins a day, whatever it is. If it's $1.68 forever, it's still $1.68 forever. And that $1.68 for an ROI standpoint, you're looking at about 2 years, about 2 years, 595 days for an ROI, right? It's 1.6 years, year and a half. From an ROI standpoint, $1.68 a day is still pretty dang good, considering your top level financial advisors out there, for most people, get them about 15% return in a year. 12 to 15% is pretty dang good. Most of the world average out there is probably around 8 to 10%, right? And so if you put $1,000 into something that yields about 15%, you're making $150 in a year, right? And so the one thing out there when you're looking at investments that a lot of financial advisors talk about is the rule of 72. The rule of 72 states how many years it takes for the money to double, right? And so on an average of 10% a year, it takes 7.2 years to double your money. Well, even at $1.68 today, right? If that $1.68 was constant, right? Which that, again, we don't expect that to be constant. We expect to push our project not only from the top 100, but the top 20 crypto, the top 10 crypto. Bobby really has plans on being a top 5 crypto one day. And that when you start talking about those top 20, top 10, top 5, like those are where the numbers get really, really big. That's when he starts talking about crypto rich, right? What's crypto rich look like? We got to wrap our heads around being crypto rich, right? And that's going to be coming soon enough. Couple years, 3 years, 4 years, it's not that far away. We can blink an eye and it will be there. And so we just have to do all the little things right today. And that $1.68 number that we're getting today off of one seat, again, that's just short term. But the long term outlook of this thing is this is going to carry on for the next 135 years. And you can do that big long math problem and come up with whatever that $1,000 seat is worth after that 135 years if the price never changes. But again, that's for the folks that are only putting in $1,000. $1,000 is not that big of a investment, and it's not even that risky, right? For $1,000, most people spend that or waste that on a cup of coffee every 6 months or a year, or whatever. Cup of coffee, $5, $6 at Starbucks. That adds up pretty quick. You can blow $1,000 in a lot of different ways that there's no return at all. But just with that modest 10% a year, 7.2 years for your money to double, your money in TEXITcoin or your $1,000 with TEXITcoin will show you bigger results before then as well, right? Because we know where we're going and we know how we're going to get there. And sure enough, that $16 a coin price, that $1 billion value that we're building after crowdsourcing this mine, it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just when, right? Because that's one of the biggest things that we're all competing with is the network marketers in this. We all know there's some big name network marketers out there that are going to get their points every week. They're going to literally sell these seats, make sure they're putting the points up just to put food on the table, right? Just to have a living. Like this is what they're going to do. And so the rest of us are out there trying to get the biggest piece of this pie while we still can. And that's one of the biggest things I'll tell you guys, and that's what drives me the most, is this isn't going to last that much longer. We've got a lot of big people. Our numbers, I know, we had a big week a couple of weeks ago. We had the holiday week last week, but you can bet on our numbers are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This thing is going to continue to go faster and faster and faster. And the reason why is because, again, we have a bigger community of people telling people about it today than what we did 2 weeks ago, than what we did 2 months ago, right? We're up to 54,000 miners in this thing. And if everybody goes out there and just tells one person, right, and signs up one person in 1 week, it'll be the biggest week we've ever had, double the biggest week we've ever had, or triple. It'd be huge, right? That's just if everybody told one person. Now, most people, it takes months and months and months for them to figure this out and to see this project really start working, for them to understand what they can do with this. But, in time, this snowball, it gets bigger, right? It's just like a snowball rolling down the hill. It gets bigger and faster and bigger and faster and bigger and faster with the more time that we go. And Bobby said that to us a long time ago. I remember him telling us that at the beginning of the year. And, he's been right every step of the way. And so Anonymous Attendee says it will take 1.5 years to get your money back, and accounting for inflation. It isn't a smart investment if that's all they're looking at, right? If that's all you're looking at, you're missing the bigger picture. That's my whole point to this whole meeting tonight, is you're missing the bigger picture if that's all that you're looking at. What we need to be portraying, what we need to be talking about out there is how long this is going to last, because it's going to last for the next 135 years. It's going to last forever for all of us. I'm not going to be around in the next 135 years. I can promise you that. Not a lot of us will be, but our kids will be, our grandkids will be, right? That's where we get the generational wealth. Even if you were getting $1.68 worth of Bitcoin today, or $1.68 worth of anything, right? Over that time, it's going to compound into something huge, right? It doesn't matter what it is. But the thing about our project with TEXITcoin, what makes it truly different, is that it's not going to be diluted, but the value of our currency will go up over time, right? That's the whole point of it's deflationary, not inflationary. And so as we add value to our network, again, once we roll out phase 2 in our community currency initiative, and we start adding value, more value on top of our network, that's going to increase our price. And so we have clear-cut plans on going from, where we're at today to $16 to $800 a coin. And Bobby's even laid it out there in a YouTube video, how we get to $2,000 a coin, 2,000 to 2,600. Once we're a top 5 crypto, and so even getting 0.095 Texit coins a day at $2,000 a coin, that's something right there that's going to be life changing for most people. And that's what you have to hit home. That's what you have to hit hard on. Anonymous Attendee says, have talked to quite a few people, but no one is interested, sadly. I continue to talk to people, though. So that's great. You're continuing to talk to people. You can't ever get beat down when people are telling you no or not responding or whatever. But at the same time, you got to make sure that you're doing the approach right. One of the biggest things that I've been running that people have been bringing to me, the same type of thing. Hey, I'm talking to people. I'm not having any success. Well, it's how are you bringing it up? How are you starting this conversation? That's one of the biggest things that I'm finding with folks. They're always running into people saying, hey man, I got the best thing ever. It's called TEXITcoin, right? Hey, I've got this, you need to hear about this opportunity. It's called TEXITcoin, blah, blah, blah. Most people have heard that 1,000 times and they don't care, right? Because they don't even know what they're missing out on. They don't even know that there's something better out there, and they don't really care. They're already doing what they're doing. Right? Most people are living life. Most people are super busy. And so the approach on what you take to get people's attention is very, very important. So that's one thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago, like with Mitchell Tucker, when I had Mitchell on here, the questions that you're asking them is more important than what you're actually telling them. And maybe that's what you're doing and you're not having any success, anonymous attendee, but I really think that most people are out there that are not having the success are the ones out there trying to share the most about this, right? And that's really what the opposite of what you want to do. You really want to ask more penetrating questions and get people to tell you, why they would be interested in a crypto project or what would change their life, right? You got to focus on the needs and the wants of other people and being more of a servant, right? Servant trying to help people. That's what's going to bring them. Well, first, that's what's going to make them open their mind and be more receptive to the information that you're actually telling them. So then that way you can actually give them the information and the pitch and they actually hear it. If you go in trying to pitch somebody or tell them about how great TEXITcoin is, it's going to go in one ear, out the other, and they're going to ask you to send them some information or they'll take a look at it, right? They'll give you all these different things that'll end the conversation so that they can stop talking about it and get away from you. And then you have to try to follow up with them. That's the last thing you want to do, right? You want to answer all their questions. But in the beginning, you want to pull out of them what's important to them and how this is going to benefit them. And you have to do that by asking the right questions, right? Hey, are you interested in crypto? Have you ever done anything in crypto? What do you know about crypto? I got myself into something. I'm not really sure about it. I know a little bit more now, but if you know anything about crypto, can you take a look at it and help me out? Tell me where the problem is with this thing. Scott, I got Scott right here. He brought up a good one. I have a lot of people saying it's a pyramid or a scam. Changing their mind is hard now once they made up their mind. So the biggest problem with that statement, Scott, is the fact that you think their mind is made up. Everybody's going to think that they know things, right? But their mind, you can't ever believe that their mind is made up because it's our job to open their mind, right? And so one thing that you can tell people, the reason why this isn't a pyramid scheme is one, it has an end date. I've never seen a pyramid scheme actually have an end date before, but this one actually has an end date. But also, we have limitations on the MLM part, right? We're an affiliate marketing program. That's what it is. You can call it affiliate marketing, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, there's the good things that we've taken from that, and we've gotten rid of some of the bad things, right? And so how do I address that? And what I tell people, the reason why it's not a pyramid scheme is because whether you got in at the beginning, Whether you got in back in April of last year in the very beginning, or whether you get in today, the comp plan, the commission plan is the same exact benefit to each of those people. Whether you got in the very beginning or whether you get in today, you're capped at making $3,000 per week, right? That's the max. And every tracking center is capped at that 3K a week, right? And so the definition of a pyramid scheme, or what they call a pyramid scheme, is everybody at the top makes all the money and all the people down below don't make anything or rarely ever get their investment back. Most multi-level marketing programs out there, like 0.7% of the people at the bottom ever get their money back, right? And so most of the people that make all the money are all the people at the top. That's the pyramid scheme, right? And the reason why this is different is, one, I think the last time Bobby talked about this, we had like 17, 18% of the people that made their money back through the comp plan. And which is completely opposite of any multi-level marketing system out there. Now, we've taken all the attributes of multi-level marketing where people are telling people about it, rewarding them. But the reason why it's not a pyramid is because it's all capped. Everybody's capped at making 3K a week per business center. So if you do have the builder program, you can make up to 9K a week, right? But then also, our comp plan is designed to pay 50% commission, right? We bring in $1 billion, 500 million, $500 million is already earmarked for commission. Now, what that does is, instead of going out there and advertising and spending marketing dollars to advertise to the masses to bring people into this project, we incentivize the people that are part of this to go out there and tell people about it. We brought in $136 million based on word of mouth, right? We don't do any type of marketing to the masses out there to bring them into TEXITcoin. We do some branding, we do some billboards, that have the price on it, stuff like that, but there's no call to action. There's no website that they can even go to, right? And so the one thing is if people don't like multi-level marketing, that's fine. I don't either. I would never do multi-level marketing, right? Like, but you can't doubt that multi-level marketing does work. You can look at the Amways of the world, the Mary Kays. We're here in Dallas. Mary Kay building is a solid granite building in downtown Dallas. It's one of the biggest ones. It's huge. All multi-level marketing, right? And there's been so many successful ones out there. So it's not that it doesn't work. It does work. But the pyramid thing, there's a lot of things about this that keeps it from being a pyramid scheme, right? The fact that we have a cap on it, the fact that, and you can go out there and tell people, most multi-level marketers or network marketers will tell you we're not a network marketing company, right? We don't have all the bonuses and special incentives and all this and all that a lot of these other things do, right? But our comp plan is designed to pay 50%. Plus, once these million seats are filled, these million seats on the rocket ship, there is no comp plan. And the other reason why this keeps this from being a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme is if nobody sold a seat this week, there'd be no commissions to pay. If there's no seats sold, there's no commissions to pay whatsoever. And so that's what keeps this thing from being the pyramid scheme, the Ponzi scheme, right? All the bad things out there that you've heard about or that's happened in the past in the crypto world. Now, crypto is scary. You can't shy away from it. Most people don't understand it. And the crypto world has been known for having multiple scams throughout the history of it, right? And so I always tell people that. And the reason why Bobby did it this way is because we can back it up with the transparency. If you've seen the new website, there's a section that has proof. And you can click on the proof. And I don't know if it's up yet for everybody. Yeah, it is. You can click on proof. You can go straight to proof. And you can click on all those things. And you can see where all our money comes in and where all our money goes. And a lot of this stuff is getting updated as well. But, he's built this with the transparency in it because of the crypto industry's full of scams. Network marketing, nobody likes to do network marketing, right? Or multi-level marketing or whatever. And so what sold me is, I didn't even know about the comp plan for 8 months after I joined. And that's because Bobby told me whenever I put my money in, get my cold storage wallet in the mail and don't look at it for 5 years. He never even told me about the comp plan. For the longest part, I didn't tell people about the comp plan either. It wasn't because I wanted to hide from it. It's just because I knew people weren't going to talk about it or do anything about it because they didn't know anything about crypto. So in the beginning days, I wouldn't talk about it either. But as we're getting bigger, more things are out there online. You got to remember the haters are going to hate, right? And so I just got another article sent to me the other day that I've never seen before, but it's a relatively new one on about how we're a scam, right? How it's a pyramid scheme and all these different things. Most of the time when I look at these websites, every single one of them are claiming the same things, and they're always wrong because we can show you the answers. We can tell you the answers, but then we can also show you the answers. I don't remember what that website is, but I have it right here. But it was a new one that I hadn't seen before. And so I started looking into it, and it was it's TEXITcoin.org, scammer legit, full review, MLM crypto, right? And the whole thing is just a horrible article, horrible thing, about how TEXITcoin's terrible, the whole 9 yards. But when you look up at the person that actually wrote the article, Malware Tips, and this guy Thomas, like when you look that up, you can clearly see like how slimy of a person and slimy of a author it is, right? Most of the time they're related to all the scams out there too. And so, we tell people to do their own research, make sure that you're careful, do your own research, all this stuff. But you also need to help people and show people like, hey, anybody can put anything on the internet, right? It's like the old bathroom wall. Anybody can write anything on there. And so you have to know where this information is coming from too. Look up these people that are posting this stuff. And the Malware Tips is like a complete scam thing too, right? That has no validity. And so, being able, Scott, this is what I always tell everybody, like for where I'm from Missouri. I'm from the show me state. Not only do you tell people, but you have to show them too. And so when you're getting around the pyramid objection or the Ponzi scheme or this or that or anything wrote on the internet, you have to tell them, but then you have to show them. And that's what's going to change their mind. When you can tell somebody, show them, and then tell them what you just showed them. That's what we always used to do in how we were trained in the hot tub business. Once you do that's what's going to open their mind. After you can show them something in writing, that's what validates it, right? And so the one thing that you have with blockchain too, what makes all this so transparent is the blockchain technology. And that's where with our website and everything, I don't know if it's all completely finished like what Bobby was wanting to do, but the where all the money comes in, you're supposed to be able to click on it, take us to where those transactions are, those receipts, and show us where all the money goes, right? And so that should be up pretty soon if it's not already. Thaddeus also says no monthly buy to get commissions. Yeah, so there's no what keeps this from being the regular multi-level marketing or pyramid scam things, right? There's no auto ship. It's a one-time fee. It's a one-time fee. You put your money in one time, and you're going to get paid for the next 135 years, right? Is it too good to be true? No, it's still crypto. It's still risky. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Past results don't dictate future returns whatsoever, right? But we have a plan, and we have clear leadership. How many cryptos can you go look at and say, hey, this is the guy who made it, right? Or hear from the person who made it every single week. They don't exist out there, right? There's maybe a couple, but for the most part, we don't even know who made Bitcoin, right? It's still an unknown entity. And so just like most of the cryptos out there, they hide behind different, businesses, business names, most of them are all linked back to the institutions, right? The mega corporations, the institutions, stuff like that. most of the time you're never going to find out who made them. But that's why TEXITcoin's different. We know who made it. There's, it's completely transparent, with everything, and we have a very unique project, and that's what you have to portray and relate to people. But also the generational 135 years, the generational wealth is the biggest part about this, right? And that comes with a one-time fee. There's no auto ship. Scott asked, where does the 135 years come from? The 135 years comes from how long it will take to mine out the last TEXITcoin, right? With our full supply of TEXITcoins, there's going to be 353 some million TEXITcoins out there after the 135 years of mining them. And so with Bitcoin, it operates just like Bitcoin, right? Right now with Bitcoin, there's 20 million in circulating supply, and there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever. The next million Bitcoin is going to take 100 years to mine out, right? I'm pretty sure Bitcoin was like 2100 or 2090 something, until the last Bitcoin is mined. And the reason why that happens is because it's time based, right? Bitcoin makes a block every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, there's a new Bitcoin, right? Reward released. And through halvening, if you guys don't know what halvening is when your block rewards get cut in half. And so like Bitcoin, back in the early days, you're getting 50 Bitcoin per block reward, right? Every 10 minutes, the block reward would release 10 Bitcoins, right? Then 4 years after that, that got cut in half, got cut down to 25. And then after that, it got cut down to 12 and a half, right? And then it keeps going, keeps getting cut in half and half and half on a set schedule. With Bitcoin, it's about every 4 years. With TEXITcoin, it's every 692,000 blocks, I believe. I can verify that real quick. Ooh, where'd it go? I'm pretty sure it's 600. 695,662 blocks. So every 695,662 blocks, the TEXITcoin block reward will get cut in half. So right now we get 254 TEXITcoins released per block every 3 minutes, three and a half minutes, right? So every 695,000 of them go by, then our block reward gets cut in half. That's called the halvening, right? And so every single time that happens, there's going to be less TEXITcoins produced in that 3 minute time frame. And so over time, it's going to take 135 years to mine out all those TEXITcoins. And Scott says, I'm a mechanic. It's hard to talk this language. So what I always tell people, the crypto world is like learning a new language, right? You have all this different vocabulary. And I believe it was very intentional on how they word this stuff. And that was to keep people out of it, right? I believe back in the early days of Bitcoin and everything, they didn't want the average person getting into it back when Bitcoin was, $10. I believe that they made it very difficult intentionally. And so now that we've seen over time, over the last 17 years, crypto's a lot more mainstream now. But it's very simple in the way that it works, right? So crypto mining, these ASICs, they go through basically a mathematical puzzle. And when these machines solve this puzzle, it creates a block. It takes about 3 minutes, right? Every time for TEXITcoin. That block, when those transactions get validated, drops into the blockchain, and then it releases that block reward, which is TEXITcoins in existence, right? And that goes into the circulating supply. When we're talking circulating supply and total supply, what that matters for, or the tokenomics, they call it now tokenomics. Those numbers are relevant at certain times because that's where we get our price predictions from. And that's how we can explain why we're going to be $1 billion project, right? So at the time that we're $16 a coin, there's going to be roughly 62,500,000 coins in circulation. So when you take that, and we know that because Bobby's always put the prediction of that $16 price right at the end of February, right? And at that time, there's going to be 62,500,000 coins in circulating supply. And when there's $16 a coin, that gives you a $1 billion value, right? You take 62,500 or 62,500,000 coins times $16. That gives you $1 billion. So that's where that $16 number comes from, right? When we get to $800 a coin, and I forgot, we're making about 96,000 coins a day times 365 plus 62,500, 62 million. So yeah, when we get to $800 a coin, when you guys read the path to 800, where Bobby gets that $800 a coin price from is by doing 800 times 100 million coins. That gives us roughly an $80 billion project, right? $80 billion market cap. That's where the 800 number comes from. That $80 billion project is going to put us in that top 20 list, right? And so these numbers just aren't pulled out of thin air. They're backed up by the math. We know exactly how many coins are going to be in circulation at that time, based on how many coins get released every 3 minutes. And so that's what he's done, is he's figured out exactly how many coins are going to be in existence at these specific moments in time. And that's where we can pull that price from. Okay, well, in 2027, at the end of February 2027, there's going to be roughly 100 million coins in circulating supply. You multiply that by $800 a coin, and that gives you $80 billion. That's what our market cap should be. That's how they put market caps on all cryptos. Now, most all other cryptos out there are not mineable, right? The mineable section of coins are the smaller part. The proof of work, layer one, the mineable ones are the smaller portion of the crypto world out there. And so a lot of these other market caps, on these meme coins and different things like that, they're literally just, buying and selling. They're literally just determined by, supply and demand. And so anonymous attendee here says, I believe in TEXITcoin, but nervous as I went in heavily. Wish I could find others interested so I could at least make some of it back in commissions. I would be more comfortable. Well, to that, I would ask you if you could go back in time, right, and you could put however much you put into this, into Bitcoin or any other of the big mainstream cryptos, 20 years ago, back when Bitcoin was $10, $12, you'd probably still be pretty nervous, right? But give it time. Give it time. Nobody's going to make $1 million overnight in this thing, right? It's that slow drip and that slow accumulation that's going to give you those returns that you really expect and that you really want. And so you have to give it time. But also, I would start following along. When you understand that the plan as well as I do, and you follow along on those Tuesday night calls, and also go to the help desk and read a lot of these articles that I'm talking about, the path to 800, the path to 80, the path to 16, all those different ones. And like I said, I would read the last seat on the rocket ship article, which is a very big one. I've read it a few times, and that'll give you a better understanding of exactly how we're going to get to where we're going. And it should make you a lot less nervous. I'm telling you right now, with the price of the market and everything, I am not the least bit nervous whatsoever. I still have just as much conviction in this project as I always have since the early days of this year, as well as, the price is temporary right now. The price doesn't really show the value of our project. And the reason why is because we have a lot going for us. We have a ton going for us right now. We're one of the largest sponsors of the largest national parades coming up this weekend. That's a huge thing. We have tons of support out in our communities throughout, not only throughout Texas, but all across the country. And now we're expanding across the world. We're starting to get a big Europe team. That's one thing I was looking at earlier when I was having that phone call with a guy from Australia. We had a lot of big teams in a lot of other places that I wasn't even aware of. 1,200 people in Australia. I thought, wow, that's pretty big. We also have a huge New Zealand team and a huge Europe team. And so this thing has grown into it's grown some legs this over the last 6-8 months. And I'll tell you right now, if you're a little bit nervous, just stick with it. Stop watching the price. Stop watching the price and just follow along the Tuesday night calls, the Tuesday night updates, and just let it go. It'll be perfectly fine when you look at your account or you look at the price in 6 months or a year. You're going to be very, very happy with what you've done. And so it's very common. It's very common to get nervous about doing anything with your money. The entire world right now, the entire crypto market is very, very shaky. And so the one thing that I tell everybody too, and we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, is right now is the best buying opportunity you're going to find. TEXITcoin's not going to be this cheap forever, right? It just won't be. And neither will the rest of the crypto world. Like I just seen today, a Bitcoin went down to like 83,000, 84,000 or something like that. Crazy. I never expected that. Not after where we were at 120 some thousand, a month ago or a few short weeks ago. But it happens. That's where Warren Buffett's always said, buy when there's blood in the streets, right? When everybody's fearful, be greedy. When everybody's greedy, take profit, right? And we've seen that not just with our TEXITcoin market, but that's the way all markets work. When we took that huge ride up to $5, $6, $7 when we were going over to Thailand, we've seen some huge sellers capitalize on that huge move, right? I've told everybody this, I haven't sold any TEXITcoin. I buy as much as I can always, and I never sell because that's the same thing I would do with Bitcoin right now. I just don't believe in Bitcoin as much as I believe in TEXITcoin. So I put all my money in TEXITcoin. And when we get to $16, it's not like I'm going to start selling then either because I know where we're going to go. We're going to go, the next stop's 80. The next one after that's 800, then 1,000, then $2,000 a coin. It's going to take some time to get there. But with any good investment, with any good idea, it takes time to develop, right? That's one thing. You only get in a lifetime, you only get 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, if you're really lucky, good ideas that come along that you can put your money into in a lifetime. And so if we would, rewind back to the late 80s, early 90s, and you could put your money into Amazon or Google or Apple, right? Any of those good ideas, and you knew what they were going to be today, you would put every single dollar you had into those, right? Anybody would. Same thing with Bitcoin. If we could back up to 2008, 2009 and start buying Bitcoin when it was pennies, everybody would do that if they knew where Bitcoin was going to be today, right? TEXITcoin is our good idea. It's a good idea. It's going to be one of the last good ideas, I think, that's going to come around for quite some time. And so that's why I'm fully confident in this, and I'm not nervous whatsoever. Even if the price dipped down to $1 or 50 cents, I would be buying as much as I possibly could because I know it's not going to be cheap forever. And so to you, anonymous attendee, I would say just try to learn as much as you possibly can about this and ask questions. Reach out into our Telegram. Ask people questions, Get in touch with me if you have questions that you can't find answers to. There's a pretty good chance I'm going to be able to answer them. Thaddeus says, hey, Gaige, Oz 11.19, but Australia 11.95, but New Zealand 12.14. And we are only a pop of 5 million. I'm not sure what that means, but we're getting close to, we just crossed over 54,000 miners. We've got 1,195 in Australia, 1,214 in New Zealand. I'm sure I don't know if there's a Europe tab or not, but there's a pretty good Europe team I know as well. 5 million, pop of 5 million. Australia population, 27.5 million. Okay. Well, I'm sure we're going to keep growing over there. Again, this phone call that I had with a guy was some guy that heard one of our updates that was posted on YouTube, and he sent me an email, reached out to me, and that's how we got on the phone. He's not even a miner yet, but just the fact that, and that's not the only one. I've had multiple of those happen over the last few weeks. And so just the fact that that's happening, like the word is spreading about our project. The word's getting out there. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so what I would tell you is be patient, keep following along, keep learning as much as you possibly can about where we're going and the path that we're taking to get there, because we have a plan to be a top 5 crypto. That's been Bobby's goal from day one. He really has always said in the beginning that he wanted to be top 3. But hey, we'll take top 5, right? Because again, these spots that we own, that we as miners own, those are going to pay out for the next 135 years. That's where we're talking generational wealth. Even though it's $1.65 today, it's not going to be $1.65 forever, right? As we go through our plan and we develop more and more value to our network, we get into our community currency initiative, and then we start duplicating this across 3 or 4 more continents, or 4 or 5 more continents. All that value that we're bringing into this, that's what's going to increase our TXC price, our underlying asset, right? And so the size of the mine equals the value of the coin. That's true for all cryptos, right? For all mineable ones. And so, I'm really excited about when we get to phase 3 and we start having people develop these 100 million mega hash mines in other countries, because that's going to expand all of our networks, right? And we're pioneering something called cross mining, which is something that we're going to be developing. But that cross mining is going to be supporting all these 100 million mega hash mines around the globe. Are going to be supporting each other. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. And I can't wait to see how that plays out. It's going to be some time before we get there. But, I've always been one that's been more excited about the journey than the actual destination. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of years, for sure. But, if anybody out there expects to get into any type of investment, whether it's TEXITcoin or whether it's a real estate deal or, a stock of anything like that, if you expect to quadruple your money in 3 to 6 months, that's unrealistic. It's unrealistic in anything. Does it happen? Sure. Everybody can get lucky at some point and get a good deal and capitalize on it. But the problem is the best investments out there, the best ideas out there are the ones that continue down the road day after day, month after month, year after year. That's why these good ideas that I told you about earlier, the Apple stocks, the Apple, the Google, the Amazons of the world, Bitcoin, these things have been going on for years and years and years now, decades, right? And so, and they've only gotten more valuable as time goes along. And that's why I truly believe that TEXITcoin is one of the last good ideas that we're going to see for quite a while, because the way that the crypto world looks right now, plus you hear all this talk about AI and all these different things, all the mega corporations, the Wall Street institutions, they all have their hands in it, right? And so for people like us, we just don't see these opportunities come very often. But when they do, also like with TEXITcoin, an opportunity like this that you can get in for as little as $1,000, if these people have the belief that they're going to put $1,000 into something and they're going to make $10 million in a year, it's pretty unrealistic. But if you can put $1,000 into something and then, in a year, pay off some bills, pay off some debt, pay off, the credit cards, buy a new car, right? That's game changing. That's life changing for a lot of people, but it's also realistic, right? And so there's not too many things out there that you can put as little as $1,000 in. and do something like pay off the credit card bills, or, have enough money you could go put down a decent deposit on a new car or house or something like that, in a year or two, right? It's going to take the time, but it's going to be a short amount of time when you look back and think, hey, I put $1,000 into this a couple years ago, and now I'm looking at buying my dream car, or, I'm paying off all my debt, right? Or I'm sending my kids to private school, or whatever it is, right? Whatever your hopes and dreams are. And so it's not like putting $1,000 into anything is going to make anybody, uber rich, right? You're not going to be the billionaires of the world by doing that. But as this thing develops, you can always scale into it. Scaling into an investment, scaling out of investments, a very good strategy, because we've all heard of dollar cost averaging in. You can do that with this, not only with your mining seats, but you can go buy little chunks at a time, week to week to week. That's what I've done. I've done that this entire year, right? I bought coins at $6.90. I think it's the most expensive ones I bought. And I bought coins at 20 cents this year and 40 cents. I bought coins after I paid $6.90. I paid like 301, 302 just a week or two ago when we had the dip. And so you just buy all you can right now. And then figure out your strategy and what your goals are, so that way you have an exit plan too. And if anybody needs help with any of that type of stuff, you can reach out to me for that. I'm lining up buyers and sellers every single day now. So, and that's good. That strategy is going extremely well. And so it's clear to me that we're going to hit these goals. We're going to get back to where we want to be in a short amount of time. And everybody keeps asking me if the $16 by February is still going to happen. I really believe it will. If it's not February, it'll be March. It's going to be sooner than you think. And the reason why is because of this snowball keeps getting faster and bigger and faster and bigger as time goes along. Scott here says, how do I activate my cold storage coin? It wants a coin ID. You have to log into your back office and put your coin ID in your back office under TEXITcoin ID. And I believe that is how you activate that. That's all I have for you guys tonight. If there's any other questions, if there's anything that you want me to cover, let me know. If there's anything you need help with, reach out to me. Anonymous Attendee says, unfortunately, most of the big advertising dollars are Texas-based. Those of us not in Texas don't see much benefit from that. Unfortunately, you are correct right now, but we are expanding more and more stuff. If you haven't heard, we're in multiple different airports now, spanning from LAX to DFW, all of the Texas ones, plus Miami. And so all that stuff is coming. Rest assured. And I think Bobby did say that Denver airport is on its way as well. So if you don't know, if you don't know where any advertising is, figure out who your sponsors are, figure out who your closest ranger is, and you guys can put something together to start spending some advertising dollars in your area. That's what our rangers are for. They got a $3,000 a month budget they're supposed to spend. And so if you don't know if what kind of advertising is in your area, get with your ranger and try to figure it out. When is Briggs' new stuff coming available? Very, very soon. I don't have an answer on that yet, but mostly because it's not ready to go yet. But it will be coming. I would say very, very soon. I would say in the kickoff to next year, in the January stuff. I would say be looking out for that. And I'm sure in these week-to-week updates, as time goes along, we're going to be bringing that up. We're going to be talking about it as well. So that's all the Q&A I've got. Thank you guys for another good week. We'll see you back here next week. Unfortunately, Jason and Jennifer that I was supposed to have on this week was invited to a private event at the big coin show that they're doing this week, tonight. And so they were unable to make it. I forgot to mention that. They were going to be on here, but then they got invited to a private special event that they had to go to, which is great. They're going to be rubbing elbows with some big wigs and different things like that, spreading the word. But next week I'm hoping to have them back. So we'll see y'all on here next week, and let's kick butt this week. Good luck, guys.